Well, hello, friends. Real quick before we kick off the episode, I have to let you know about something exciting. I am seriously considering having an upgraded version of this podcast where you get bonus episodes and exclusive content. But here's the deal, I'm trying to decide what that content and those episodes should be. I do have some ideas, and I was wondering if you could vote really quick and tell me what you think about what would entice you, what would be interesting to you to get as bonus episodes on this podcast. For example, deeper dives into topics. Maybe I'm answering questions that many of you ask about starting or growing a business. Maybe even overhearing coaching calls, something like this. It would be a paid, upgraded version of this podcast, not very expensive at all, probably just a handful of dollars a month, but it be extra content for you to help you along your journey. My whole goal is to help you build your business dream. And I would love to offer you even more because some of you are asking for it. So if you could just look down in the show notes right now, there's two ways you can give me your answers. Number one, I have a Google form with 5 quick questions. It can be anonymous. You just answer them and vote on what would be interesting to you. Or number two, I have a voice memo system. You can just click it and you could just leave a voice memo with your phone right now and just record it and tell me what kind of topics, what things would be interesting to you behind the scenes, market news, what would be things that would be extra that would be really valuable to you. So thank you all so much. Okay, on to the episode.
Well, hello, this is Kimberly Brock, and for over 20 years, I've been running my own businesses that have not only been profitable, but personally fulfilling to me. So now I'm on a mission to help other new business owners, just like you, make money doing what you love too. Now we're going to have some fun, so let's get started. Well, hello, this is Kimberly. It's episode 122, and I am so excited that you're here today. Why? Because I have a special guest on the show. Her name is Dr. Dawn, and you get to hear her story of how she started her business on the side of a full-time career that she loves. Are you hearing me? She has a full-time career that she totally loves, and she started this business on the side and is doing so well. It is so awesome. You get to hear how she did it and how she approached it and all that good stuff. So I'm so glad you're here today. If you are new, welcome. I'm so glad that you found this podcast because each week I'm going to provide you with strategies and tips and insights for how to build a business doing what you love. So if you're in the dreaming stage, you're just starting, whatever it is, you are in the right place. And did you know that I have some great free resources to get you plugged in? One of them is a private Facebook group called Women Starting Businesses Doing What We Love. So scroll down right now. You can get that. I also have a guide that will help you figure out a good business idea for you. If you're in the business idea stage, scroll down right now. You can get that. And also, if you're just starting and you need a checklist to make sure you're doing all the right things to start your business effectively, I've been told by many people that they love this checklist. So make sure you get it. Scroll down. You know the drill. Scroll down and grab it there. And also, if you're new, hit subscribe right now. You just hit the little plus button if you're an Apple Podcast because you don't want to miss out on any future episodes. And if you are a loyal listener, I want to thank you so much. You all are just amazing. So many of you have gone from just being listeners to, getting my free downloads and then getting plugged into the group and then becoming one-on-one coaching clients or becoming a grow getter or maybe the whole shebang, just like Dawn, you'll hear today. She started out just listening. She got the downloads. She was in the Facebook group. She became a coaching client. She came in Grow Getters. She became a coaching client again. So she's in all of it. So it's just awesome to see transformation like this. And I think this episode is really important to hear that, but also to hear her story of how she's doing this on the side. Because so many of you I know are building your businesses on the side too. So that's it. Okay, on to the episode. Okay, so Dr. Dawn and I are going to start talking shortly. You're going to get to hear our conversation. It's so much fun. But I want to set up a few things for you so you understand this as you're listening to her. So Dr. Dawn used to be a teacher. Okay, that's what she started out as years and years ago. Maybe it was 20 or 25 years ago. I don't even know. Maybe more than that. But she started out as a teacher. She's now a career woman. You get to hear about that. And here's the deal. She loves her current career. She helps employers find the right employees. That's what she does now for her career, her full-time job. But she is starting this business on the side as a career coach, and she's focusing on women. So it's so wonderful to hear her mission and what she wants to do for career women and helping them build their brand and build a career that they love. Okay. That's what she's doing. And you're going to hear how she started her business on the side. Okay. And for a lot of you that have full-time businesses, you're going to learn a lot because you're going to hear that she had to hire a handful of people to help her. This is the reality of the situation. If you've got a full-time career, you don't have much time, and you can speed things up a lot more quickly by hiring help. Instead of trying to learn 80 million things and wearing 80 million hats, you can get help, speed up the process. That's what she did with me with business coaching and with helping get her podcast started. So a lot of people don't know that I actually do help people start their podcast. So this has been super exciting. You get to hear about it. Dr. Dawn has a book that she has written. It's called The Career Woman's Secret Playbook. So you get to hear that, and you get to hear about her new podcast that's about to be released called Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. Her website is Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. Her social media and YouTube channels are Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. So you get to hear all about it. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for her. She does a million things. I don't know how she does it. Book, podcast, YouTube channel, all of it. It's so exciting. I'm so honored to be a part of her journey. And she's just the sweetest thing. And we just had so much fun on this conversation. So you have a lot to learn from her, especially if you have a full-time job or you are short on time, because you're going to hear how she has made all this happen and it's working. She has clients. It's going amazing, okay? She's still in the early stages of her business, but it's so exciting. And you'll learn that you can do this too. You can have a career, a full-time career that you love, and you can start an awesome business on the side. Okay, now let's get to it. Here's me and Dr. Dawn. Dawn, I am so excited to have you on the show today. This is just so much fun for me. And just to see your bright and shiny face here and just, I can't wait to share you with the world. So welcome, Dawn, to the She's Just Getting Started podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. I feel so honored to be here. And as you know, I am busting. I'm so excited.
Well, we both are, right? That's what's so fun about this. Well, I want you to take a few minutes here and just share with all my listeners what business you have started and where you are today. And then we'll kind of go into the backstory because this is super interesting. And y'all, Dawn has so much wisdom about things. And so I hope you will stick through all the way to the end because she is going to share with you some fantastic nuggets of information and wisdom. And you will just learn that you can build a business on the side while you have a day job that you absolutely love. See, this is what's different about Dawn. A lot of people say, I don't like my day job. I'm not fulfilled, but she is. And so she's living proof that you can do both. So Dawn, go ahead. Share with the world your business. We're so excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. And you guys, I've got to share this one quick story. This is a full circle moment for me because I know later we're going to get into this, but I found Kimberly's podcast early on and binge watched every single episode. So being a guest on her show, maybe a year and a half later is so exciting. So I am just so honored that you invited me, Kimberly. Thank you again.
I'm so happy.
So much. And I wanted to share with the audience just a little bit about what I do. And yes, to Kimberly's point, for the ladies out there that really love what they already do, you may not be thinking about starting a business because you're thinking, I love my job. This is not for me. But you guys, it really was for me. And let me tell you why. Now, naturally, I tend to be one of those positive people that might drive you a little batty. I know I can't help myself. I literally wake up with a lot of passion and purpose. But I started to think early on that I know other people could have more joy for their work. I just know it. And so, yes, I have employees that report to me and they were kind enough to put up with my cheesy Happy Monday because they had to because I was the boss, right? So I would actually have a Happy Monday theme to our staff meetings and all that kind of stuff. And I know over time, some of them came around and thought, this isn't so bad. It really does start a positive tone for the entire week. So I share that to share that, yes, I love what I get to do for my day job, but I had this sort of, idea that if I could start a career consulting business, I could take things up a notch. I could really help people more one-on-one. So the way I mentor my employees, is there a business to do that for folks who are either maybe like me, they love their day job, but maybe they have some other passions they want to tap into, or maybe they're really struggling and would love to talk to a professional who's been at it for 30 years. So that's how Shop Talk began. My company is Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. We're a career consulting company that specializes in women empowerment, professional development, and corporate training. So all that really means is that I love work so much, and I want to get people excited about going to work, being at work, and understanding that there's really two approaches, right? You may be in the trenches for a number of years. Maybe you've discovered you've either lost a little joy along the way, or maybe you're excited to take your career up to the next level. So that's where I come in. I can either offer one-on-one coaching, group coaching, or I go out to organizations, companies, universities, schools, and offer training. So the business really has lots of different options where clients can either find my website, they can find my YouTube show. I've got 68 videos that can help people start their week off on the right foot right now. If they were go to Dr. Dawn Shop Talk, that's our YouTube channel. So that's kind of what I did over this past now 2 years altogether, was continuing the great work I get to do by day, but then at night and on the weekends, really thinking about what kind of services could I offer to help people be more excited about their work. We spend so many hours at work, right, Kimberly? I mean, seriously, if you're blessed enough to have a full-time job, you're spending 40 to 50 hours. That's time away from your family. That's time away from your kids or your furry kids, if you have furry children like my husband and I do. So, it's just sad if people are not excited about their work. And I personally think, after being a former school teacher for a long time, and then I had the privilege of supervising school teachers and staff, I think as adults, we do a lousy job of getting people excited about work. That's where the whole Happy Monday idea came from, was this belief that, we can't all be running around and saying Happy Friday, and then wonder why young people today don't want to go to work. And so that's kind of where that philosophy came, and where my idea to run this career consulting business on the side came about. And it really kind of started too with the fact that one of my employees came to me one day after I had put together this workshop. And this colleague of mine is very knowledgeable, but I have to admit, I was probably the only person who found him funny. He was just like one of those that he had a really great sense of humor. It was a dry sense of humor, but he had one of those voices, Kimberly, that I think kind of reminded me a little bit of sort of like the Peanuts cartoon, where it was like, wah, wah, So I didn't realize he was that dry. And so when the workshop ended and my employees were like, look, Dr. Dawn, you just got to do something about this. Why don't you become the speaker? You're a great public speaker. They were so enthusiastic. And that was 5 years ago, Kimberly. That's how the idea of the public speaking part came about.
Yeah. Well, what I love, and for everyone out there listening, is that you saw a problem, you saw a gap, and then you felt it within you, but then also people had been telling you that you were good at something too. And this is very common with all these new business owners. They know it, and people have been telling them this, but the good news is you went forward with it and you pursued it. And I love that you started taking steps. And so it's awesome that you have this business, and it's called Dr. Dawn Shop Talk. Tell us about the name and how you got that.
Well, in fact, I'm all about women helping women. So what was interesting is when I first started to think about doing this and starting my own company, I had a good friend of mine who also was a career consultant. And she said, okay, Dawn, the first thing we're going to have to do is come up with a name. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, how do I do that? Because I already did a lot of presentations and training with my day job. So Kimberly, I couldn't even think about, well, what would I call it? Should I just use my name? So she was the one, actually, my really good friend and colleague. So if you're listening, Dr. Jan, shout out to you. But she really was the one that got me thinking about using Dr. Dawn. She says, I'm Dr. Jan, but you're Dr. Dawn. It has that great alliteration, right? I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So we started to think about Dr. Dawn. And because my day job is all about helping employers find talented employees and kind of all about the workforce, all about career tech, and making sure that students understand that they could be college and career ready, that there's lots of different paths to success. And it doesn't always have to mean a traditional degree. It could be apprenticeship. It could be all kinds of things. So as a result of that, I started to think about shop talk because, back in the day, shop used to just be, say, VOTech programs and things like that. But it's a lot more. Career tech education is a lot more than just automotive, as important as automotive is and how great it is. Then I started to think about, well, if I was going to do presentations and training, maybe the word talk should be in there. And then here's another reason I chose talk. I've got to share this with you, Kimberly.
Yes.
When I was about, I would say maybe 9-10 years old, you can probably guess this already. I get very excited about talking to people because I love people. I love being with people. My parents were always so good about when they would throw a dinner party or something. We got to come. Like it wasn't separate, right? So I would get so excited to tell my parents about my day and about my friends and what we did and all these kinds of things that they literally had to put me, I kid you not, on a timer at the kitchen table so that my sister would have a chance to speak. Okay. Sorry, Alexandra.
Who has the floor?
So I was like, the minute I started to talk about this with my family, they said, Dawn, are you kidding? You were born for this. We had to put you on a timer, remember? I'm like, yes, I remember. Yes. I had to be put on a timer. So when I thought about talking, I thought about shop. I thought, Dr. Dawn's shop talk, like, let's talk shop. Let's talk about any obstacles that are standing in your way of being successful at work. And then the idea of working with career women came into play because even though I supervise both men and women, I thought there were unique challenges to women in the workforce, not just the glass ceiling type of thing, but also the fact that I think we take on a lot. I think we are naturally those nurturers. I think it's just part of our makeup. I see it all the time in education. And as a result, I wanted to help women figure out ways to be more joyful when they came to pick up the kids. So my daughter, who's now 22, and she's serving our country in the Air Force. I'm so proud of her. Love you, Savannah. Love you,
Savannah.
Yes, Savannah. When she was maybe 5 or 6, and I was coming to pick her up from daycare. And at the time, I was a single mom. I was a single mom for 14 years. I was very, very committed to it being just the two of us when things didn't work out with her dad. And so for 14 years, I'm over here working full time. I'm the sole support of the family. I am picking her up at daycare. She came up to me, and when we got in the car, she's in the back seat and she says, Mommy, you're not like other mommies. I was like, oh, this could be good or bad. I sure hope this is a good story.
Yeah, this could go bad real quick.
oh, Lord. Oh, my goodness. Here we go. And so I said, really, sweetheart? Well, how is that? How am I not like other mommies? She says, Mommy, when you come pick me up, you are just so happy and excited. You're always like, oh, hi, sweetie. And I, would be so excited to pick her up from daycare.
So sweet.
And I said, really? And it occurred to me, it wasn't that I was like super mom by any means. It wasn't that I was the perfect mom. It occurred to me when I started to look around, I saw some of the other mothers. And it wasn't that they had 20 kids. It was the fact that they just seemed more exhausted, just almost like maybe coming from a bad day at work. And I certainly had bad days at work. Absolutely. But I realized I had some tips and tricks and strategies that I was using every day that I know affected my workday. And I personally believe that sometimes your workday can really spill over into your personal life in a way sometimes that your personal life does not spill over into your work life. For example, when I was going through my divorce and my heart was just breaking, and my ex-husband and I now are fabulous friends, and that's great, but it was painful for both of us to realize
Right.
that we would be happier apart. Well, work was my salvation, Kimberly. There were
Right.
times where I could control things about my workday in a way that you just couldn't control things in
Right.
your personal life.
I
So
agree.
if my now
Mhm.
ex-husband was going through something painful, I couldn't shield him from that. But there were so many things about my workday I felt like I could control.
Mhm.
So when I saw the women coming to the daycare, I knew that maybe some of it was their personal life, sure, but I bet a lot of it was being affected by their workday and vice versa. So
Right.
that's when back then, again, my daughter's
Mhm.
22. Back
Yeah.
then, I kind of realized how passionate I was in helping people have a better workday because that part they could control maybe a
Right.
little more than they realized.
Right. Well, I mean, it's so awesome that you've always had this inkling in your soul for this and to make this change for people. And then as you built your career, you saw other opportunities that you could make change for people in the workforce. Right. I just think it's awesome. And you had all these inklings and you've had these little things along the way that drew you to do this. So how did you go about getting started or stepping into this? Was there any other history or any other things that spurred you to do this? Or did you just like say, okay, now's the time? Like what happened?
Right,
You
right.
know?
Great question because it was a slow build. So for
Okay.
me, because I did love my day job so much,
Right.
I didn't have this push that I had to do it. I had this
Right.
desire and passion to do it. So, and what ended up happening for me was because all of this was kind of in the background. And then, especially when my employee 5 years ago said, you should be our public speaker, you should be paid to do this. I started to think, how could I make that happen?
Right.
So for me, I'm a consummate reader and researcher. And
Yes.
that's why a podcast was great for me. So I started
Right.
listening, I started reading up on starting a business and how would I become a public speaker and still keep my day
Yeah.
job. So all that's in the back of my mind. And then about 2 years ago, my daughter had just left to go into the Air Force, maybe 6 or 7 months before that. So now my now husband, so
Yes.
went back in the dating world,
Yes.
Match.com, love
Oh my
Match.com,
gosh. The
found my
whole thing.
husband, the whole thing 6 years ago. So he was part of my life as my daughter was getting ready to leave to go into the Air Force. And so when she left, I thought to myself, okay, now I really don't have the excuse, right? Because although we had our daughter, we have a blended family. So our daughter who just left for the Air Force, and then we have another daughter who made us grandparents, and she lives about
No.
an hour away. And she's older and she's married and all that. So as a result of having this extra time, I thought, well, if I'm going to go ahead and try, this would be the perfect time. Now, I
Right.
had started writing a book when my daughter was in high school. I started kind of with this idea of writing a book, of
Okay.
becoming an author. So
Okay.
all of that was kind of on the side in the morning, after work, on the weekends, that kind of thing. But when my daughter left, I decided, okay, now's the time to really try to do something. And that's when I started to really have this conversation, started with the name, bought the domain. I didn't know anything about that. So my friend who was the career consultant helped me through that process.
Okay.
As soon as that happened, then I started to listen to your podcast. And I would say about a year and a half ago is when
Okay.
I found you. I knew I had to do something other than just buy the domain and come
Right.
up with a name.
Right.
So I was like, how on earth am I going to really start? Okay.
Right.
So when I started listening to your podcast, the minute I found you, first off, I mean, your audience probably already knows this, but I listened to quite a few. And when I found your podcast, you broke things down in a way that was not only easy for me to understand, but you have one of these voices that is so like energetic and positive. And because I'm so cheesy, I needed that in my life because it was scary. My
So
daughter had
kind.
just left. She was stationed in Japan. I was really, my only child stationed so far away. So I'm
Right.
really down. I wake up one morning And this bubbly voice, this intro comes through. I had been praying for a sign. Is this the time? Am I taking on too much? I'm going to have to fly to Japan. I'm depressed. So this bubbly voice comes through, your music. And I was like, oh my goodness, who is this? Who's this chick? And when I started to listen and I heard your vision and your mission about helping career women start their own business, it just spoke to me, Kimberly. So I immediately started binge listening. I mean, I went back from the beginning, caught up. And then here's the thing. You became part of my morning routine because I listened to the episode. I think it was like episode maybe 68 or it was around there. I listened to that at 5:30 in the morning because I had started this routine of getting up super early so I could have some me time, so I could ease into my workday. So I'm sitting here really down thinking about Savannah being so far away. And then all of a sudden, when I hear this, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to start this every morning. So every morning I've got my coffee.
No, you
I'm
didn't.
listening.
Oh my gosh.
Because your voice and your energy, it was like having coffee with a best girlfriend who's sitting there cheering me on the sidelines saying, Dawn, you can do this. That's what it felt like to me.
That's so kind.
Oh, honey, if I have not told you this after, working with you all this, I mean, how did I not tell you this story? But it was so true. I needed that push. So you talked about, in one of those episodes, you talked about don't waste your time outside of your zone of genius, I think is how you phrased it. And you started talking about hiring people, thinking about, listen, your time is limited. And mine definitely was because I didn't want to do anything to hurt my success with my day job. And so I wanted to be cognizant of my time being limited.
Right.
So as a result, I started to think about, well, maybe I could hire someone to help teach me how to put together a website, maybe teach me how to advertise and all of that. So I immediately wanted to throw business towards women friends of mine that I knew.
That's
were
awesome.
Also, I think it's a beautiful thing, women helping women. And
so do I.
Podcast is all about that as well. So I was like, okay, I was meant to find Kimberly. I'm going to reach out to a friend. So a friend of mine had just started a PR business. So I reached out to her and I hired her. She was the first person I hired to help me learn how to post. And she helped create my social media. So she got me started on that. She showed me platforms so that I could do virtual platforms, which I wasn't familiar with at the time. She showed me an online broadcasting studio that I could sign up with so I could do interviews and have that on YouTube. She showed me some basic stuff about how to start a YouTube channel. All that was the result of my friend who I hired. Then she referred me to another woman friend who was all about helping women start their online businesses. So think about that, Kimberly, in the time that you and I worked together, all of a sudden COVID hits. So you can't be a public speaker if you can't go out in public and can't offer online services. So all of a sudden I had to stop what I was doing. I had to pivot my business, go completely online. And this friend of mine showed me how to design my own website. I use GoDaddy and she showed me how to create one. And she was so good at teaching me how to create my own website. I actually got a client, another woman friend of mine who's a salon owner, and I created her website.
Oh my gosh.
For some extra money.
You turned into a web designer.
Hello. I mean, right?
You're like, sure, I'll do it.
I told her, I said, look, I'm not really a professional, but if you want me to show you what I did, I'm happy to do that.
I love that.
That was another client.
Yeah, that's the women helping women.
Women helping women. So that's exactly what I did. I got a website, I got the YouTube channel, and I started to hire other women, and I did it very small. So, we did month to month. I was scared to spend just tons of money. I wanted to build it organically. That really worked for me, especially because I love being organized. I love making sure that if I'm kind of dipping my toe in the water, that I'll go all in, but I want to kind of test the waters. And so I wanted to make a smart financial investment too. I needed to kind of feel that out. Same with my YouTube channel. Even though I do a lot of presentations professionally in my day job. It's different,
Right.
coming up with a YouTube video, and I taught myself how to edit my own videos and things like that. So I wanted to take these 2 years to slowly get to that point. And that's why I ended up doing all those things to promote my business. And that's really how my business got started, was step by step. And when I downloaded your checklist, what was so empowering about that was I got to see from someone else, here I was like, well, my gosh, Kimberly's been in business, has had successful businesses for 20 years.
Right.
I believe in trusting those who've lived it. Right. So
Right.
I'm going to go to somebody who's done that, and having that checklist and just working with you one-on-one. I can't coach other people unless I believe in coaching. So
Right.
I believe in making sure I reach out to somebody who can teach me what I don't know.
Right.
So when I got that checklist of yours that was free, I was empowered because I was like, whoa, I've already done these first couple of things.
Right.
I had done almost
Right.
half of it by the time you and I got together. And then I remember on all your episodes, you always end with, and I'm paraphrasing here, but something about that our journey doesn't have to end here.
Right.
So I was like, oh, it doesn't? Well, what does she mean? What? She's taking one-on-one clients? She still takes clients? Hang on. Hold on, pump the brakes. So I was like, oh, I'm signing up for this. So of course, like I said, I already thought we were BFFs having coffee together every morning at 5:30 this whole year and a half. And then finally, when I reach out to you and decide to do the power hours, which was great for me because I wanted that one-on-one time with a professional.
Focused. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And so, it was like, oh, this is a done deal. 100%.
So much fun working with you. I think it's awesome. But what I just have to just circle back to what you said is that sometimes how can we be a good coach, or how can we be good at what we're doing if we haven't experienced the transformation ourselves? And I think I think that is so key for anyone who's in a service-based business. If you've experienced it, then it's so much easier to share with others how awesome the transformation can be for them, and then to provide that for them. So I love that you knew that you valued investing in yourself in all these different ways. And you did a lot. Some people are scared. They don't even think, they're not even to the point that they think that they're worth it enough to spend their money on this. So I love that you are like, no, I'm getting this person to help me with YouTube, person to help me with my website. I'm getting a business coach. And I think that's awesome to realize. And you realize how much time you just saved.
Yes.
How many months and months would this have taken had you not hired the YouTube person or any one of us who you hired?
The time and the money saved because someone else made those mistakes already, and they're teaching me what not to do and what to focus on. The time and money I've saved in hiring folks. And again, I didn't go spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Right.
Now, it may be that looking back a little bit, but I did it a little bit at a time. So I that saved me so much time, so much money by not just stressing myself out. And because of their expertise, let me tell you, your girl here is 55. Okay. I was so excited when my daughter showed me years ago how to even do a little something on my iPhone. So I've gone from barely being able to use an iPhone to editing my own YouTube videos.
I love this.
I went from not knowing anything about a website to, because I hired people to show me, to using platforms that I found user-friendly and spent the time to learn it, where I end up designing one for a future client of my own. I couldn't have done any of that without partnering with other women who saved me the time and money. And now, because of your Grow Getters, I get to do that with a community of women. So I get the best of both worlds with your program with Grow Getters, because I get the one-on-one time with you when I need that. And then I get a community of women who are cheering me on. And although it's awesome to have that private Facebook page. In fact, Kimberly, you've inspired me to think about doing that later on. But right now, my time and effort is going to be spent a little differently until I get to that point. But the
Right.
private Facebook page is kind of where I started. I started with the one-on-one coaching with you and the private Facebook page where I could see these posts and you would come in there regularly and give us even more inspiration. But with Grow Getters, I get to do that on a more kind of intimate level. And I
Right.
get access to all these additional trainings and videos. And then because I'm so passionate about what I do during the day for my day job, there are plenty of times I really can't work on that in the middle of the day.
Right.
But
Right.
I've got access to that all,
Right.
forever.
Right.
So that gives me the confidence to do this business because every time I've hired a coach, it's usually I've only hired people that have that type of platform where I get videos I can watch over and over again because
Right.
I am 55. I'm going to forget some of this stuff.
Well, no, we have to. We all do. And we have to become a master at our craft.
Yes.
And sometimes that takes doing things and hearing things over and over and over again. And I love that. And I appreciate you saying that so much, that you value the one-on-one, but you also value the group. So that's what's been so fun, is I've gotten to know you in all these ways. And then you get to participate in the ways that you can to work around your current job and everything like that. So I think that's wonderful. So I think it's awesome that you have chosen to invest in yourself and invest in the future of you and invest in this passion of yours. And what I think that's great now is that people will be doing the same with you. They will be investing in their career. So share with us, when you work with people one-on-one or you work with women, like exactly what you're doing to help them.
There's so many wonderful things that we get to do together, especially with the one-on-one coaching. So I offer a power hour. You inspired me to do that because initially I was working with clients that needed, say, a month or 2 months. So it would be a weekly Zoom call. So I would meet them virtually. That was just more convenient for people. But they would answer a couple of questions for me so I could see where they were currently in their career. So I would give them a quick free consultation. I would get a good idea of where they were. Were they needing help with getting to the next level? Because ideally, Kimberly, I want them to have the privilege I've had, where the past 2 jobs I've only had 4 jobs, and 2 of the 4 came to me. I did not have to interview for them. And that was because I had spent years, 30 years now, building my personal and professional brand in such a way that my network would speak for itself. In other words, my reputation would speak for itself. So I wanted to give to women that opportunity to hopefully be offered a position, maybe even more than one that they could choose from. So what I would do is we would get together on a quick call. I would find out, what do you need? Are you someone who's been in the trenches for years and wants to take things up a notch in your career? Or are you just starting out? I've had women colleagues who, as soon as they found out about my business, you talk about women helping women. They've not only hired me, and these were women who used to get my public speaking for free.
Right.
Because I hadn't had this business yet. So
Right.
these are women who not only have hired me, but they've actually referred me as a coaching consultant, as a career consultant, to their daughters, because they want their daughters to be starting off on the right foot. They want their daughters to learn from my experience of what to do and what not to do. Because what's kind of unique, I think, about my story, about being a career consultant and doing coaching, is that I've had the privilege of sitting on both sides of the desk. So both as the employee and as the boss. So I would know what I'm looking for and why I chose to hire someone, why I chose to kind of put my neck out there for that person and rally for them in an interview team meeting for them to get that promotion. Or in some cases, why I've had to let somebody go. It's the most heartbreaking thing when it doesn't work out.
Right.
So that is basically what we talk about. I find out what they need. And then after that, it's deciding, do you want 1 hour? Do you want 2 hours? Do you want to break that up over 30 minutes, over a couple of weeks? Or if you do feel like you need more one-on-one attention and you need more in-depth coaching for like a consistent basis, maybe they sign up for my exclusive package, which is 1 month of coaching. Or maybe they want the VIP experience. And so they're going to get everything. If they're a Shop Talk VIP, they're going to get, more coaching. They're going to get lots of freebies. I love a giveaway. Kimberly, you're probably not surprised about that. So on my YouTube show, like we just had a new year to a new you in 2022. So we spent the first 5 days of the first work week of 2022 working on different things. You can go to the YouTube channel and check it out. And at the end of that, of course, I gave another giveaway. So if they're a VIP client, they're registered for any giveaway. But that's really what we do. It could be anything from time management, where some of my career women are just really struggling to get out the door, or they don't understand why they're consistently late. So there's all kinds of strategies that we work on and cheat sheets and things like that that I send to them if they're a client. Now, if they just need some of those tools and strategies, then they can go to the website and they can purchase my programs. I've got, online videos they can purchase. They can purchase my course, the Taking Charge course. They could purchase digital products if that's what is interesting for them. It's just a quick, digital product. We've got to-do lists, for example. So I have a customized to-do list that I give to all my employees. Well, I decided, hey, somebody else might be interested in that. So that's something that clients buy if I'm doing a presentation and maybe they want to purchase the to-do list, or maybe a client just really feels like they have a hard time getting things done during the workday. So sometimes clients are good with their time management, but maybe they're just really struggling with grit. They start something, they can't seem to finish it, or their patience is through the roof. So we go over personality types in the workplace. That's a big one. Right now, you may not know, Kimberly, but there are up to 4, sometimes 5 different generations all trying to work together and understand each other. Right. So if your coworker is driving you nuts, or your boss is driving you to the point of insanity, there's all kinds of strategies we talk about with regards to that. And in fact, that's my free downloadable. When people go to the website, I actually have a downloadable called What to Do When Your Office is Driving You Nuts. Yeah, so it's all kinds of tips. So you don't throw a stapler in somebody's direction.
Right. I can understand. I remember when I was working back in the day in corporate technology sales, and there would be people you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive this? If that person was just not here, life would be a lot better. That's so rude. But I mean, that's how it is. But so I heard you say that you were getting referrals, you get personal referrals, and that you have your YouTube channel. How else do you get the name out about your business?
Another way I do that is through, we mentioned social media, so LinkedIn and those kinds of things. Okay. But another thing I did, and I'm very excited, if you don't mind me announcing this real quick.
That's what I want you to share.
I wrote a book, and I mentioned earlier, it was a lifelong dream to write some sort of how-to book, especially for women. So even though my presentations, my public speaking, I'm going to do that for men and women both in the workplace. Right. That's fine. But when it comes to the one-on-one coaching and when it came to the book, I felt like I really wanted to give that gift to women who I do feel exhaust themselves and take on way too much. And so the book is called The Career Woman's Secret Playbook.
Love it.
So, you love that name?
Love it. Yes. So cute.
Career Woman's Secret Playbook. So by the time that this airs, it is going to be available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And we're just looking at lots of ways to put it everywhere.
Right.
And so what it is, it's my insider secrets of what I believe you really can only learn if you've had the responsibility of holding somebody else's career in your hands. So I started to think about what makes somebody stand out in the interview. Why have I hired this person over that person? What made me decide things were not going to work out and I was going to have to let them go? Or, what was it about this person that made me think, oh my gosh, they'd be perfect maybe for this other job, this other position, but not the one they're currently in. So the playbook is geared towards women, whether they're just starting out in their career or whether they've been in the trenches for years, or if you're one of those fantastic men out there who support these amazing career women, then this playbook is for you as well. So it's a game plan. It's based on 4 main insider secrets. I talk a lot about mindset. I talk a lot about passion rediscovery. because I think women have tons of passions. I think sometimes they just need to awaken them. I talk a lot about uncovering your grit and becoming unstoppable. And I talk a lot about time management. And Kimberly, I talk about it in that order. And the reason I do is many clients, when they first come to me, they might be struggling with grit or time management, but then we really realize it's a mindset issue, because just like a good diet, right? You might lose weight, but then you're going to gain it all back and then some, because you're doing some things maybe psychologically or mentally that is kind of dismantling your best efforts. So we really start with what I call the CEO mindset. So that CEO mindset is about realizing how much power and control you really do have in your life. You really do. So there's so many choices we make, where we live, who we surround ourselves with, what career we choose. So we start with mindset and kind of work our way through. So the book, I think, is going to be a wonderful way to promote the business. And then as a result of the book and as a result of being a little inspired by the She's Just Getting Started podcast, one of the things I've been working on, as you know, with you, is starting my own podcast.
I know. It's been so fun working with you on this.
Oh man, you are the reason why I really thought, listen, she has this amazing podcast. I know if I'm so inspired listening to her, maybe I could inspire a career woman who's just out there struggling. Or maybe she's one of those women who's just a lifelong learner and just likes having her coffee with Dr. Dawn and Kimberly.
Yeah. With both of us, right? No, but that is so wonderful. And so when does your podcast get launched, do you think?
Well, I'm trying to coordinate the podcast right around the same time as the book. So I'm actually working on the trailer now. So by the time the book comes out in February, I'm hoping that the podcast will be released just right around that same time.
Yes.
And then what I'd like to do is just really focus on the podcast and the book. That's going to be my main way to promote the business. And then my YouTube channel, I definitely, love the YouTube channel. It is a way, I think, for people to get to know, like, and trust me, right? Because they can see me and hear me. And then all those videos on YouTube are free. So it's lots of tips that can give women ideas about, she talked about how to work with a perfectionist. See, many times I think, I'm the perfectionist, and I struggled with that. So I definitely help women get over being a perfectionist. Well, what if you work for one?
Right. Oh,
so maybe that's what they need.
Yeah, maybe that's what they need. So and I was going to say that because you've got your hands in a lot of stuff here. You've been writing the book. You've had a YouTube channel. You work full time, but now you're starting a podcast. So I like that you said that you were focusing on the book and the podcast, because then that way you can promote that. That's one paid way, is through the book, and then they can get to your other paid offers, but you've got a lot of free content and you'll have even more coming with the podcast coming. So I think that's smart. And that's usually what I tell people to do. So I love it that you just kind of find 1 to 2 ways that you really put all your effort in. And I know you said YouTube's still there and you love it, and you're going to do shorter videos. So that's not going to be so much of a pull of your time. Am I right on that?
That's right. That's exactly right. I'm going to do a shorter version of the episodes that will air on the podcast will be on the YouTube channel. And let me tell you, I've used a lot of kind of tips and tricks on how to use my time wisely and when to shut it off, Kimberly, because I'm very committed to spending time with my husband, with my family, spending time with my daughter, with friends, nurturing those relationships. So for me, somebody listening right now might go, oh my goodness, she never sleeps. No, I promise you, that's not it.
How many hours of sleep do you get a night? I need to know that right now, because you cannot be 8 hours like I am. You cannot. There's no way.
Well, okay. I do tend to be a night owl, people. Please forgive me. I should be getting 7 to 8 hours, but I will tell you consistently, according to my Fitbit here, and it doesn't lie, I'm getting between 6.5 and 7. I really am. And I aim for 7 to 7.5.
Well, it sounds like you may be getting a lot more done in your day than I am. This is pretty amazing.
Well, let me tell you, part of it is that I repurpose things all the time. So for example, when I do a whole month, 4 episodes on YouTube, I film all 4 episodes in one afternoon.
Okay. Perfect.
Because I'm going to take that content and I'm going to just film it back to back. So those are the kinds of things I do. I'm going to do that on a Saturday or, whatever day, sometimes on a weekday, because I want to be able to shut it off and spend time with the ones I love. So that's how to not spread yourself too thin and drive yourself crazy. is
you
when,
got to batch.
yeah.
Batch record, batch create,
Yes,
batch whatever. Because if you've got a full-time job, there's just no way. So you have to be super smart about your time management. So you
exactly.
do get a decent amount of sleep. So I'm impressed. And then you fit this all in. So you must be really good at organizing your time. Are you like a calendar person? Like how do you manage your calendar and how do you fit all this in? Like how do you schedule it?
Yes, because I'm all about a calendar and a to-do list, as you know.
You do? Okay.
But again, I let go of that perfectionism. So, for example,
Okay.
when I plan my content and I plan what I'm going to do for the business, I'm going to give myself permission to plan it, but not beat myself up if I don't get all of it
Yeah.
done. And a great tip from me, especially because I do love my day job, is I started my business by getting all the back end pieces in place first before I just started my YouTube channel. So, for example, I did the website and I created the content and I started writing the book. And then on the YouTube channel, every episode was content that I specifically picked because I knew those were topics that were going to be in the book. So I took the notes from my YouTube channel that I used as sort of like my guide on what to say. So for the first year of my YouTube channel, those notes, I saved all those, and then that became the book. So that's
Right.
how I was able to do all of that and still get at least 6.5 to 7.5 hours of
Right.
sleep.
Right.
Was not to say, oh, I've got to do a YouTube channel, write a book, do a podcast. I didn't do all that at once. I
Okay.
just got my foundations. I felt for me, that helped me feel like it was doable because I wanted to take something massive, like starting a company, doing public speaking, all these different things. I wanted to break it down into smaller, more manageable steps.
That's perfect. Yep. Yep. That was smart. I know. I think if you didn't do it that way, you'd just be a hot mess and you wouldn't,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be completing anything, but you're actually making progress. And I love that you share that, this has been 2 years in the making. Like
Right.
if you have a full-time job and then you're going to visit your daughter who doesn't live near you and everything else going on in your personal life, right? Give yourself some grace, everyone listening right now. Give yourself some grace and realize that it's okay if this takes a while. We hear a lot about let's hurry, let's do this, let's quick start, let's fast start, let's do all this. That works for some people that have time and don't have a job or maybe just have a part-time job. It doesn't work for others. But what helps someone like you is to invest in people who know what they're doing so that you can save yourself the time. Just like you got help with the book, right? Didn't you get help with your book? You have to get this help to save yourself time. And luckily, since you have a full-time job, you have some income that you can be investing in the business, right? Some people, maybe don't have any money to get started, but if you do, it is well worth your money. I've used coaches. I use people to help me. I'm paying people right now to help me and work on certain things in my business that I know. And I even have time to do a lot of it, but I know that I'm not the best at that. That's not my zone of genius, like you mentioned earlier. So let's save ourselves angst and time and get the help when we need it. And I love that you're doing that. So what other advice do you have for women that are starting businesses right now? Maybe they do have a job that they love, or maybe they have a job that they don't love, but what other advice do you have for them if they have a yearning in their soul to take this passion or skill that they have and make a difference in others' lives with it by starting a business? What advice or guidance do you have for them?
I think it's very important to make sure that you celebrate your progress. Do not aim for perfection here. And I did that. I would map things out. And yeah, I tend to naturally be organized, but I wasn't always organized. I just forced myself to do that because I started to think, what was more important to me? Was it more important to me to take the time to do this? So yes, that was more important to me than trying to get it all done right away. So some tips I would share is to celebrate every day, every week, every month. So for example, because I have a full-time job, I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, like I said, with my coffee, and I would ease into the day and I would look at what I was excited about to work on for that week. I didn't expect myself to work on the business every single day, but
Right.
once a week, I would make a goal. So I would achieve that goal, and sometimes I
Right.
wouldn't, and that was okay. But I started to celebrate more so that I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, this is like, it's going to take me forever. There's no
Right.
light at the end of the tunnel. So if you've got a full-time job, whether you love it or hate it, just make progress. That's the first tip. And the
Yes.
second tip is start taking action steps, no matter what you do. That's why I'm so visual. I've got right here in my home office this amazing dry eraser calendar, Kimberly, with lots of different colored markers. It's for the entire year. And then behind me, I've got one that's just for this month. So I
Okay.
plot out my yearly goals and then my monthly goals. And again, I can visually see where I want to be in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12
Right.
months. And
Yep.
then I will celebrate that. I'm going to get out that glass of wine,
Yep.
that glass of champagne. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do something to celebrate that I did that. Another thing that I would advise women to do is to remember you're responsible for the effort, not the outcome. So it's okay if the client changes their mind and the deal doesn't go through. It's okay if it took me a little longer to write the end of that chapter. It's okay if the call went a little long and I wasn't able to get it done in the length of time that I wanted. That's okay. So when I started to understand that I'm going to have a better workday when I give myself permission to work on my business, but be okay with where I am. Because
Yes.
I'm just a big believer that things happen for a reason. If I need longer to get there, I would rather choose quality than speed. So
Right.
I would rather always do that. For me, having a full-time business and having a career consulting business on the side might seem overwhelming, where women are like, oh my gosh, there's just no way I could do a business and devote time for my job. I disagree, because even when you're really happy about your job, you're just going to be happier knowing that you didn't put your passions on a back
I
burner.
love that.
And
I
that's
love
something a
that.
lot of my clients, my women clients, really do suffer with, is without meaning to, next thing they know, they can't even remember the last time they worked on a hobby or did anything
Oh,
outside of being
oh.
a mom, wife,
Right.
friend,
Right.
sister,
Right.
daughter.
Right. No, I love that. I think that's so important for people to hear that. Number one, you're worth it. Your dream, your passion,
Yes.
whatever it is,
Yes.
it's worth it. You only are on this earth one time. And if there's something that you want to pursue, whether it be a hobby or turning the hobby into a business, it is well worth your time. It is cathartic. It is food for the soul to be able to do what you love. And then you can take it up a notch and make money doing it with your business. Right. So I
Exactly.
think that's such a great point. And I love all those little nuggets of information that you share, because I think those are very valuable. We need to be celebrating what we're doing. We need to be making progress. Take the action that you can, give yourself grace. All of these things are just so wonderful. And I appreciate it so much, Dawn. Is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners?
I think that just forgiving yourself depending on like
Mhm.
where you are. And I think another important thing to remember is there's just so much great content out there that women can get right now for free.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Yeah.
your podcast, whether it's my podcast or YouTube channel, whether
Right.
it's the book. I'm a big believer in just surrounding yourself with as much positivity
Yes.
as possible. So if I'm struggling with a work project or really down because maybe a family member is going through something tough, I'm not going to watch a depressing movie. I'm not going to listen to
Right.
something depressing in the car. I'm going to listen to a podcast or a book on tape
Right.
that really inspires me, makes me feel good. And then I'll tell you something else I do. I use my cell phone to help me get through the day in different ways. I might set a timer and say, okay, for 1 hour, I'm going to concentrate on this one thing. And when I get done, I'm going to go outside for a walk. I'm going to just like move
Right.
around a little bit. And then I also use that voice memo on my cell phone all the time. So if I come up with an idea, instead of writing it down, although I love to write things down, right, I would say something to myself. And it's really kind of fun. I've got all of these voice memos of different ideas and things that I want to do from years ago. And it's really fun to go back and listen to yourself
Mm.
talking to
Mhm.
yourself in
Oh my
your voice.
gosh.
It's amazing.
I have not done that. I've done the notes.
Girl.
I do the notes app all the time. I'm like
Yes.
typing. I look like
Yes.
a texter, but you're doing the voice app and then you listen to yourself and it's
Yes.
like
Wow.
a mantras or something. Like, what is it that you're saying? Just uplifting.
I say mantras. I talk about goals. I was going through a really tough personal time with my daughter, really worried about her future. I talked about that. Now, when I listen to that from years ago, I can hear myself. I can hear my fear. I can hear myself struggling. And then I could now know how wonderful things are. And, things like that. It's amazing to hear yourself and you pick up on things that you're like, oh my gosh, if I could talk to myself and realize how far I've come.
Yes.
So that's where I think career women need to realize you are doing so much that you're not giving yourself credit for right now.
So true.
Start talking about it, even if it's 2 seconds, and listen to yourself a year from now. You'll be
amazed. And it's like just realizing like, oh my gosh, I know I was looking back. I had found all these old papers that I had printed from free stuff that I downloaded from other business mentors and people online and all that. And I thought, it came just rushing back to me the way that I felt when I was reading all that back when I was just starting the business, like how overwhelmed I felt. Like it all of a sudden brought me back. It's like when you hear a song on the radio and it takes you back 10 years or something, I'm like looking at all the stuff that I printed going, oh my gosh, I had no clue what I was doing. And like half of that now I'm like, oh, I don't need any of that. Like I know all that now. And it hit me. Oh my goodness. Look how far I've come. And I think that's so great to celebrate that progress. And, I try to do that in Grow Getters and stuff and have us like post and say what we've done, because if you don't realize the progress you made, you don't have that awesome feeling of like, I'm actually doing this. And when you don't have that, you don't feel like you're moving forward in your life. And what you don't realize is you actually are. You're moving forward. You're creating this future for yourself. And you're doing this because you've always wanted to, whether this is a year-old dream or a 20-year-old dream. I hear it all the time. And a lot of people have known for a while that they wanted to do this. So I just think what you just shared is so important and so valuable to women. And Dawn, I cannot thank you enough for being on this and being a ray of sunshine and just sharing your passion and joy with everyone to realize that, no, we're not super women. We don't have to be, but we can still pursue those things that mean so much to us in our life, even if it's just on the side when we have a full-time job, but you can build a successful business doing this. You have clients, things are going on, you're making progress, you're getting hired to speak for really good rates. And we've talked about it. And it's just like, I'm so happy for you. I couldn't be happier. And I relate so much because I started my podcast by searching for the reason I came up with this because I was searching online for like, I really want to be a public speaker. I just don't know what I'd speak about. And an ad came up that said, start a podcast to kickstart your public. And I was like, wait, what? I'm starting a podcast. This is what I'm doing. And, it's not for everyone at all, but it's just proof that if you follow that inkling of like what comes natural to you, it works, whatever that is, whether you're a blogger, you're a writer, you're good at social media, you're good on video, whatever it is. Maybe you're a good networker locally. You're super good. I know people that are like that. They know everyone and they, go with what feels comfortable to you. Do what you can now. And then you can expand. Doesn't need to be perfect right now, but you will be making progress towards your dream. And that's what this is about. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate it so much. I'm so honored and I cannot wait. I'll have to have you back in a couple of years after your book's out, your podcast is out, and we can regroup and say, okay, oh my gosh, you've got the successful business. You've helped this many clients and you're living your dream. Like that's, I can't wait. That will be even full circle for me. So that will be awesome.
Well, it'd be full circle for me as well, because Kimberly, listening to your podcast and working with you has really changed my life. I mean, I would not have even considered doing my own podcast. And you share your story with how, the story you just shared about how it even came to be. Right. So, here I am, just originally a school teacher, starting off as a school teacher. Now, being in the world of business and management and doing all these things. So listening to your podcast and having coffee with you when you didn't even know we were having coffee every morning for months before I reached out to you is the reason that I'm here. I mean, it really is
so touching. Thank you
so much. You are just such an inspiration to women and everything you do and your kindness and your enthusiasm in helping us believe we can do it.
I'm going to cry now. I was all happy, but now I'm going to cry. Now I have tears. I had tears of joy a minute ago. Now I'm about to have tears of like, oh my gosh, I'm so humbled. Thank you so much for those kind words. You didn't have to say all that. And it means the world to me.
Well deserved. You're welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you so much. Okay. Well, I'm so excited for everyone to hear Dawn. Oh my gosh, how awesome. Dr. Dawn Shop Talk on all the ways that you heard: podcast, book, YouTube channel, website. She's got it all. So anyways, thank you so much, Dawn. Have an awesome day.
Thank you.
Okay. How much fun was that episode? Oh my gosh, I had a blast. And thank you, Dr. Dawn. You are the sweetest. You give me so many compliments and I can't thank you enough. So anyways, for those of you that were listening and were like, you know what? I could use some help too as I start my business. Y'all know that I offer coaching either one-on-one or in a group setting. I would love to help you. My group program is called Grow Getters. Make sure you check that out. And if you're just like, you know what, I need help now, we need to knock things out, we can do one-on-one coaching. So check out all the options below. I don't want you ever to be flailing around, stalling, trying to master every single thing when it's so hard when you're starting your business. Don't do this to yourself, okay? Get the help. We can speed things up tremendously and get you moving and building your business dream. So I am so excited for all of you. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye now.
Now, this episode may be over, but our relationship does not have to end here. Head on over to KimberlyBrock.com, and yes, you can get more valuable information for your journey. And you know what? You don't need to go through this alone. I would love to help you. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.